4, 3, and that was the live.
We are out here. I'm technically at home, remote locating. I don't know where Alex is at. I can't even see him. He's
Undisclosed with
somewhere very
location.
cold, very, very cold.
it dropped below in the 40s, man.
It looks like he's gonna have to shovel snow from his current location, and I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna do that.
Maybe.
It's a blizzard.
Man, it dropped into like the 40s this morning, and my mom was telling me to be careful of icy roads. I was like, I don't think I have to worry about that.
Just be careful, man. It might get colder than you think in that one spot.
Maybe.
The bridge may ice before the road does.
In cold and wet conditions.
Yeah. So what's up, man? Christmas. That's why we're not doing one in the studio. Trying to stay local to home, I guess, and not make that long drive back and forth this week,
Yeah, the roads have been crazy, man. I've been doing a lot of the traveling, and people get wild during the holidays, during their travels. Do you have to travel during holidays at all?
We're gonna drive down and see some family on Christmas Day. After the kids wake up and open their stuff and play with it a little bit, we're gonna zoom down and spend some time with the family and just make a day trip of it. Basically, come back, hang out. So, a few hours in the car, but man, it gets stressful, if you got kids or not, you're driving multiple hours and other people, like you said, are driving crazy. Now I'm old. I see people like speeding up and passing people through traffic and stuff. I'm like, oh God, no, please slow down.
You used to be the one dodging in and out of traffic.
I mean, yeah, I didn't spend a lot of my youth on fast roads like that. Thankfully, there was no interstates and freeways where I was at until I was way older. So thankfully, we didn't have the same accessibility to so much traffic when I was younger. But yeah, man, it's stressful. Like driving is stressful. You got to basically be super alert and aware for however long you're going, and not that you think you're a bad driver, but I would just assume that most other people are bad drivers. So just being on the lookout for other people starts getting stressful, So I think that's what most people are kind of dealing with. And then, yeah, being late. A lot of people are late, so they're driving fast, and accidents, just normal kind of accidents, I guess, that happen. So it just all stacks up.
See, I agree with Egghead. Egghead says that speeding saves you negligible amount of time, and it's unless you're driving like a really, really long way. So like speed doesn't really play that much of a difference. How many times have people passed me, and then I show up at the red light right next to them?
Yeah, I mean, so what's a long enough distance to speed then?
I mean, I don't know. We used to play.
You're so smart. You're so smart. How far do I need to be going if I can speed?
What's the math, Egghead?
Yeah, come on.
Because that's
numbers. I don't know.
I used to speed. I was guilty of it when I was a kid. Like when I say like when I was a kid, as if that was forever ago. But now I'm talking about like 10 years ago, where like I landed like 3 speeding tickets within the span of like a month. And then that coupled with working on an ambulance, coupled with like adult life, I just slowed down. Now everybody makes fun of me. They say I drive like a grandma.
Yeah, I think you are notoriously like a slow driver, I guess. I don't ride with you that much.
I call it safe.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the right thing. Probably the safe is a little bit slower, a little more deliberate, in your movement. That's me too now, most of the time. I try not to be late. That's the thing, is like if you're on time, if you're not like behind schedule, I guess I would say, then just take your time. That's the thing. People just want to get there fast and don't know how to just like chill out. And I'm guilty of that too. Don't get me wrong, because I think I don't know how many. That's why I'm genuinely curious. How many miles does it? Should I? Because if we're talking about speeding, so let's say 20 miles over. Okay, 10 plus hours.
10 plus hours.
Oh, full disagree.
5 miles an hour. 5 miles an hour over 10 hours could cut your time by nearly an hour. He said that's just an estimate. That seemed really specific. It seemed like you had an answer when we asked the question.
So you would get 50 extra miles by going 5 miles extra. Basically, is what you're saying. Over 10 hours.
Is that how math works?
5 miles per hour times 10 hours is 50. Thomas would tell me that. So you would save roughly an hour. I guess that's 50 minutes. So yeah. So what if I'm
Yeah.
going?
Okay.
What if I'm going 80 miles and I want to go 80 instead of 65, and that'll
When
save
did
me
this
20,
turn into math class?
that'll save me 20 minutes, man. That's 20 miles. That's a whole nother city right now.
If
And if I
Steven
put it
leaves his
down,
house at this time and he's going this many miles an hour, and I leave this going that many
you're
miles an
talking
hour,
about
that
five extra. I'm talking about like 25, son. Five ain't speeding.
he's looking for that reckless driving ticket.
Yeah, five's expected. If you aren't doing 5 over, then that's suspicious.
Ooh, sir, I'm doing two over.
I mean, your gauge should be a little off, right? That's what I'm saying. You got to be
Yeah.
doing. You got to be
Okay.
pushing the pace.
Okay.
Up to about 5 at least is required. There's a minimum speed for a reason.
Okay, I agree with you on the minimum speed. There are people out there that are going way too slow.
You got to get it moving, man.
Yeah, and I go with the flow of traffic if I'm in the city.
Yeah, what city? Like big cities, yeah, that's what you'd be going 90, 95, and it's
Whatever the speed like that everybody else is going, I go one. I don't go all the way to the far left lane, but I do that one lane like right before far left, and I ride the pace that everybody's doing there.
that seems. I mean, that seems fair, right? It seems like that's a reasonable accommodation, right? I think that obviously speeding can be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying
Right.
everybody should just be going out here speeding like crazy, but I think that a lot of the people that are going to be getting speeding tickets this week should not be getting a fine, like a penalty for speeding. Maybe.
Oh, see, now when we start talking about
If nobody's
speed, like
hurt.
tickets and
So,
stuff like that, that's a whole nother argument. Yeah.
like that's just that you know what I'm saying. So what it's kind of dependent on what's going on. So I get there's a lot of people on the road. You're just trying to be safe. So I get it.
How's that play into your jiu-jitsu? Do you drive like you do your jiu-jitsu?
Probably now, yeah. Yeah, if I was training when I was younger, I would have been a lot more reckless for sure. I'm pretty chill, man. I will yield when the sign says to yield. If I get that sign, it's like, hey, you gotta slow down, let them get in front right here. It's like, all right, cool.
You're not just gonna be like, oh no, this is my spot.
No, I'm not gonna smash you out of the way because then I may miss, and then we're both gonna be in a different place now. So the appropriate thing may be to let you make the mistake of just getting in front of me because now I'm behind you.
See, we can tie things into jiu-jitsu.
Right. Smart. I've been doing this for years, man. I've been doing this for a long time. The students are starting to find out now that I say the same thing that other good coaches say. It's like randomly, it's like, wow, I heard this in a such and such and such interview. It's like, yeah. I mean, that's what all the good coaches tell their people to do. That's no secret, you know.
What's a big one that's come back around since now? Like you're now full circle on students that you've had around for a while. Like, what's something that you're putting out there that you're like having come back to you?
That is, you gotta get the control first.
Mm.
Just that everybody wants to get to the end of whatever the thing is, but that you can't really find that consistency of whatever this thing is without those building blocks along the way, the boring stuff. Like a few people are really starting to get that the stuff they don't want to do might be the stuff that they need to do a little bit more of instead of just skipping right to where this is the cool thing that I saw on Instagram.
The flashy
cool.
thing.
That's cool. I like it too, man. But just let me tell you a couple things before you try that. And this being more received universally instead of, well, this is what the top person, this is what Gordon Ryan, for example, or whoever does. So how can I argue against him? And it's like, well, I'm not arguing against him. I'm just saying maybe you're not Gordon Ryan, so that may not be what you need to do, right? So stuff like that. It's more or less of being, I guess, consistent enough saying stuff. That way you can be like, see, I've said that, right? And you've heard that. And it's like, yeah, I've heard you say that before. Or they make that realization, I guess, on their own that they have heard that before. And it's like, oh man, okay. Now I believe it. But I mean, it's basically peer review, so it's not fully a bad thing that people are fact checking you as a instructor and as a coach based on the things you're telling them, because sometimes you're not right. Sometimes you saw it wrong or thought something that was happening was not what was happening, and you had the thing wrong. You know what I mean? So yeah,
What do you do when you're wrong as a coach? Like, what do you personally do when you're wrong as a coach?
What do you mean by what do I do? Like how?
How do you react? Like when you go, oh, I'm wrong. Like, do you go like try to like learn that thing, or is it like maybe I was wrong because the context wasn't right, or things like that?
Definitely try to figure out what the case is. Why? What led me to be out of the loop or whatever. So to say, without knowing. And sometimes it's that I didn't have enough information on the general topic, and then sometimes it's that I don't think the message has always been as clear as I thought, maybe relayed person to person. I thought that I had said something that was understood differently than what it was, and so it's like, okay, so then it's not that, okay, it's not necessarily that it was wrong, it was just that it was misunderstood. And so now, kind of like you said, I guess with context you can circle back and like plug it back in the way that you mean, because I'm trying to think of something that's been like specifically, because like technically, technique wise, I mean to say, I don't think that there's been something that is like that's wrong. It's just been like I've seen other things that could be more efficient,
or in a different way,
or somebody has a different body than I do, and they explain to me the necessity of the thing that they do because of their body type or body mechanics or personal injuries or whatever it is that they can't do this thing. And it's like, okay, well then you can't do this thing then. You know what I mean? What do you do if you can't? Then we have to I have to figure out. And sometimes I tell you to do something, I guess I would say, like you're going for something besides the thing that I'm telling you to go for. So you're already a couple of steps down the road in your mind from what I'm saying, even though what I think to do would be maybe the right thing to do. For you, it's not going to be the right thing to do because you're not working on that idea.
The end goal's different.
Right. And so the communicate, again, it's just like not understanding the specific spot, I guess, as much as it is being, quote, incorrect. I think it's more of like, we've talked about it sometimes, like I'll be sitting on the side and I'll be like, I need you to, do this with your right arm or whatever. And the person, like, they look at you and they're trying to figure out what to do with the right arm. And then they get tapped out or whatever, or they were doing another move. And so when you tell them to put their hand there, they get some tapped out or swept or something crazy like that. So it's not, I don't know. It's like in the moment, it's incorrect. And so you try to fix those little things along the way. And sometimes then, like in that moment, you find that like somebody didn't understand something that, like, again, like you say, you thought that everybody knew. Like I thought everybody knew how to, put their knees in this position when they're basing and how to like roll their hips forward, the way to posture and close guard. I thought everybody kind of knew how to do that stuff. That was in this particular class, but this one person didn't, but they were pretty good at a lot of other stuff. So it's like, crap. Well, we gotta dissect this for you now and make sure that you understand this, because this could help a lot of other things that could be giving you trouble if you've not understood this one principle. You know what I mean?
As a coach, do you sidetrack the whole room for that, or do you like separate them off and go, all right, all y'all do this, and then all right, let me work with you real quick?
A little bit of both, I think.
A little bit
I think it's a little bit of both. If it's something I think everybody maybe can use, Like if it's something that's like, all right, we all need to talk about this. Then I'll
Just
bring
one
everybody back,
detail. Yeah.
yeah, and bring it in and talk about it or whatever. But then sometimes it's like, no, I'll just sit with that person and their partner and try to help them, understand that because maybe everybody else is doing it, so there's no reason to necessarily stop the whole class and bring it back to go over some one idea that won't change anything for them specifically. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Exit out of your Facebook tab. I think this year is this dinging. But so like when you're instructing and dealing with like the somebody coming with information and stuff, do you ever, and this is kind of like a personal question from my point, because like as you grow up teaching and like you're figuring out how you're gonna do that, do you ever find yourself, or have you ever found yourself in the position where you're like they're asking you questions that you don't know the answer for?
I
Like
think
they're getting
so.
outside your scope?
I think there's been a couple times where people have been asking something that hasn't been um, like a part of my game,
Yeah.
and so I have to answer that, like, like just like this right here. Like, I don't really know about
Yeah.
that. Like I'm not sure, or let me see it, and I can help you dissect it based on what you know and what I can tell you about what I see and what I know about jujitsu, like universally, like the overall arc of jujitsu. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I try to point them, like my purple belt answer has been like I point them in directions of places like, all right, if I had that question, I know this guy has this game, and I'd either go ask this guy specifically, or I would just go research all of his footage and stuff,
yeah,
and maybe
that's
I
I
could
mean that's
figure it
the
out.
that's the real answer.
Like try to teach them how to teach
Over
themselves,
time
kind of
is
thing.
to
Yeah.
send them, yeah, exactly, or to go get some of that information yourself too.
Yeah.
Also, don't just tell them, don't just say go watch videos on this, because they could look at it and see something completely different than what you mean.
Right. They
Because
need to maybe go get it from the source.
yeah, you see it differently than what I meant for you to see from it, or what we kind of discussed. You saw a different thing, and so it's not, again, that doesn't make it right and wrong. It just makes it a difference in game, stuff sometimes, because there's a lot of stuff that I think I do well, and there's a lot of things that I understand really well that aren't a part of my game though too. So I can go and I can see things at this point and not necessarily universally be right, I guess, because that's never going to be right. Nobody's ever like always going to have the right answer. But if I can sit there with you and you can show me, and then I can maybe feel it a couple of times or something, I think I can figure out a couple of answers right there on the spot that could be helpful.
Yeah.
So then also go back and do extra research myself on the given question that came up. That way, next time it comes up, I have an answer, even if it's not the best answer for everybody every time. It's still a better answer, than the one that I had before, which was basically no information.
Yeah, that's the like I've started learning how to get, and I'm sure you experienced this getting ready for the PGF last go round, is that like when you're looking for bodies to train with, and you're not necessarily like we talked about, like in the place like San Diego or like that where there's just countless bodies coming through the door, like sometimes teaching the like super low level new guys helps you because they ask questions that you would have never even thought about, and so you can like explore your game that way as opposed to having to go get reamed by somebody who's tenfold better than you.
Well, I think that's kind of the thing though, is where, as a lower belt, if you're focusing on the right stuff, then you can do that a lot, because across time, like a blue belt and a purple belt, when I was teaching, I really was fundamentals heavy, really, like, with the MMA game, getting on top, being safe, submission defense, and all those things. So that was kind of the stuff that I taught, uh, and there's nothing there's nothing wrong with that as a style at all. I still think that's very, very, very important. But that was all that I was really working on. So that was really what we went went over, as a team. So, like, I think trying to explore other parts of your game, though, at a certain point like that, when you don't have the depth of knowledge, may get you in more trouble,
Yeah, you still have to go to the mountaintop.
because, like, frames, for example, a
Right.
lot of people don't know how to use frames. They just don't know how to do it. Like, they think they do. They think they understand some of it, but they don't really get it. You know what I mean? They get it in a couple positions maybe, but they don't really like universally understand where frames are and how they can be helpful in as many, but a lot of positioning. So it's something that I had to do a lot because I was a big dude that couldn't really get up and couldn't sweep, wasn't really athletic. So I had to be on my back a lot and needed to survive. And so then I got so good at defending stuff. That's how I started getting my opportunities. People would get over anxious or over excited to try to do anything, but then I have my hands or arms in the right positions or my knees, were in the right position or whatever. And the attacks just kind of bounce off if you do it correctly. They don't really ever get you. You know what I mean? It may look bad to the outside in, because you're not in the better position.
But you're not dying.
But they're slowly dying.
Yeah.
If you're
They're
doing,
getting more and more tired, and yeah.
they're overworking, they're getting anxious. They've already shot 2 or 3 of their best shots at me, and now I know what they're gonna do and how they're gonna do that. You know what I mean? And so then
Right.
it starts getting into that negative self-talk, right? And so then over the years, I developed a lot more firepower, and I'm more confident now at shooting the shots with that firepower because I know that if I miss, I'll be able to get the frames in and should be fine against a vast majority of the people in the world. I feel, confident to say that about a lot of people. It's hard for most people to submit me no matter what, unless you're one of the better people anywhere.
One of the crazier things that I've figured out, like as I started training with like higher and higher level people, is that a lot of black belts go to hide in mount. They let you mount them because they can defend so well that they are quite literally just having a day at the beach up underneath you while you're like panting and breathing and trying to wrench things open and press them down and hold them down. They're just hanging out.
Giving up your base and everything.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's not as boring as the guy on the bottom, I guess, in that way, to sit there and play that really slow game like that, where it's really not trying to give up anything, but not necessarily looking to take everything either. Just seeing what exists. When I do this, what happens? If I put this and this together, what happens?
So what's like a chain of game that, or a chain, that was a weird word that I tried to use there, but like what's like a scenario or a game that you try to play there? Like if you're trying to play something like that, is that like your deep half game, you would say, like type deal?
Let's say we're following up with mount. Let's say mount. Let's go mount escapes. Frames. If you don't have your frames in and stuff in the right way, even your like upas aren't going to be that great because you don't have them in the right position probably to get the right movement out of that kind of stuff. They're all jacked up into your armpits with their knees and stuff like that. You're already losing that too. So the basic idea of the frames would be the same for upas for the most part. Obviously you need to break down one of the arms at some point, but you still got to have those principles in to a degree to where you can't let them slide up and get that higher up position. But also you could, if they don't let you do that when they set down, then that will be a good time to maybe try to use that elbow knee escape and shrimp back to half guard. And then from there, you may be able to go to full guard if that's your game, or maybe you stop in half guard because that's your game, or you start getting in there and you learn, a little bit about playing ashis and stuff like that. And then you realize that same elbow and knee escape,
Yeah.
put that one knee in, And instead of trying to get the other knee in at all, you just kind of bring that leg over into the ashi and you feed their body all across the same way. Now you could have, a good leg entanglement off of it that'll make them react another way, which would give that you just want to get them off of you and mount. You don't want them smashing you and tapping you out and killing you. Everybody wants to get a heel hook, or everybody wants to get trap bridge and roll, escape or whatever. But it's like, but reality is you just want to get them off of you. Even if
However,
you just get them frustrated and they jump off and to do something else. You know what I mean? So
they create the scramble or something there. Yeah.
there's scramble ways, but if you're not the athlete, then why would you scramble? You don't want to
I more
scramble.
of meant like creating the scenario where they're trying to scramble away from you.
Yeah, to
Like,
get away from
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Or they're
Which
losing
then
that base.
you can just
You
pull
got to
them
make
back
them
in.
lose their
Yeah.
base. You got to make them lose their balance to get off of you. And how can you do that if you don't have the proper framing mechanics? You're eventually just going to let them fall on top of you in a position that's bad. But the more frames you have and the more you understand how to use them, like in motion, because frames don't move, but you can move and the frames can stay attached in the movement. I guess that's some of the stuff that maybe is the invisible jiu-jitsu that people talk about. I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't really see that part of it, but where you're connected to them, and that's how the kazushi works a lot of times, because if you're connected, then they push, you pull or whatever, you go together, or I don't know. Super, super like hard to explain without being in the room a lot with somebody to get them to like get down to that philosophy. I feel like on a lot of stuff, unless they're a higher level jiu-jitsu person already. It's kind of that depth of knowledge thing we talked about. Sometimes it's really easy for me to think about the way to off balance somebody, but for a white belt, it's like the most foreign topic to them ever. They can't imagine being able to like use this stuff to get everybody off. You know what I mean? So it's really just like stuff like that. I have to remember to go back to the first things always as an instructor, because that's what's going to always work. The main fundamental things that you learn are going to be the things that always work the best for you. And so if you rely on certain fundamental things that don't serve you well in the end, then you'll have less success at the end of the day. You may have more early because of the game that you build, but then when you spent so much time working on something that may be able to be countered by somebody that has good understanding of the defensive fundamentals of things, I guess I would say, it really takes away a lot of the game from you. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah.
So like, I don't know. For example, just not giving somebody your back, but somebody's really good at finishing off the back, or not giving they're good at arm bars. Well, then this person just doesn't go to your positions for arm bar. What are you going to do? Do you have other things that go off of that? And that exists. They only exist. Like there's only two moves. There's only always two moves.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's like this or that, and then the next thing is this or that. Like, so there are thousands of moves or millions of combinations. It's kind of like the lottery, I guess, in a way. You could pick a billion combinations that end up going in there.
But it's always like a dilemma from one to the other.
Yeah, there's only a couple of things that they could do, usually one or two or three, kind of in these certain kind of scenarios. And so, like, I've been thinking about this thing, man, and this is probably just going to be just the weirdest thing to most people again, but this is something I've been thinking about a lot, that I don't know how to explain it because I don't know enough about chess, but it kind of started when we were talking about it or whatever. I think everybody's trying to make jiu-jitsu be like more complicated sounding and sound like it's super whatever. And so this thing, or a lot of things, they're like, it's not chess or it's not checkers, it's chess. And I think that people are making things complicated for no reason, just because they think it sounds better to make it more complicated. They're both board games, they're both fun or whatever. I'm not saying checkers is better than chess. It's just simpler, and it's not like in chess, you move one time, I move one time. You know what I mean? You don't
I think chess is simpler than they make it out to be. I think that they're complex, making it more complex when really it's just these scenarios and these choices that you have. But I think you're right, where like it's even less than what they make it of. Like you don't have all these different pieces in front of you. You have the one move in front of you, and that's
right.
it.
It's not, and so then I don't, and I don't want to give you like almost even move for move either. You know what I'm saying? So like in a way, like if you make a mistake, I'm gonna jump twice and take two of your pieces in checkers. You know what I'm saying? So like
Right.
if you make a big mistake, I'm getting all the way to your back and I'm probably getting under your neck.
King me.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
say, what's up?
Yeah.
And now I'm going all the way back the other way, and you don't have any of that kind of stuff. And the
Okay.
frames are your back row. And if you never move your back row, they can't beat you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I think everybody's kind of just because people say things and everybody like jumps on these, hey, yeah, it's chess, not checkers, my guy. And it's like, well, I think you don't even know what that means.
Well, have you heard the people that have tried to make it even more complicated and they try to compare it to, this is a side rabbit trail, but like they compare it to 3D chess. You know what I'm talking about when I call something 3D chess? All right, there used to be this game on Star Trek that they play where it's like 3 chessboards stacked on top of each other. And it's supposedly like it's supposed to look super complicated. Well, if you actually play the game and you get super into the nerd out and like go in, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but like you can
Nobody
talk
watching this show is going to be able to correct.
they talk about the fact that playing actual 3D chess is actually simpler than real chess.
Mm.
And so, like, in the effort to try to make it seem like more grandiose than it is, people are actually explaining something that it's actually way simpler.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that quote, I believe it's Jean-Jacques that said it, is the more I know, the less I do.
Mm.
Right. So the more jujitsu I know, the less of it that I actually use, because I don't really need all of it. I know that there's really only a couple of things that are going on in any given time. And if I can make it be a certain way, then there's only a couple of things, you know. So sure, I like knowing all these things, and I like doing all the things too. It's fun. It's an art form for me, and I really enjoy it. But when it comes time to really get after things, what do you know? You're gonna go after the easiest, most simple thing to do to get the win. You know, when you're really trying to win. So
Right.
you don't want to do the most complicated thing you can do when it's actual victory on the line. Like sometimes it takes a complicated answer to get to a finish. You know what I mean? Because they're tough at this point, but it's still it's a series. It's a series of simple answers. I guess I would say it's not really a bunch of like calculated computations or whatever. It's like just simple answers over and over again. That when you know, I mean, if you know the way broadly, you'll see it in all things. Right?
Yeah, there it is.
So it's just kind of like that, and it's hard to, again. It's just for me when I'm watching you guys do stuff. It's like, that's cool, man. That's really cool. Do it, but I would just do this instead, probably. And you're like, but I this is so good. And it's like, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying, personally, I would probably try this instead.
But isn't that partially like the whole broadly thing? Is that like,
Right. That's what I'm saying.
right?
So like,
Maybe my broadly is the starting point is different.
I guess that circles back though to where I was saying earlier about now though I've at least told you this stuff. And so then 5 years or whatever from now, when whatever comes around and you're just like, maybe that was right. You may not even tell me, but you'll know. You know what I'm saying?
I have a whole series I want to do with my dad that's called "He Was Right."
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, right?
There's moments where I'm like, oh yeah, there, because everybody's got that mentor, that coach, that like whoever that has told you the thing to do. You didn't do it, or you did go do the thing they told you not to do, and then like you said, 4, 5 years, 6 months, that day you turn back and go, maybe they were telling me something.
Yeah, it sounds like they knew what they were saying.
But don't you need some of that though? Like you need some of the prodigal son wandering, if you will, to like kind of like I don't know. Me personally, I needed that for my learning. So like I have to kind of navigate things in that weird way for me to understand it.
Yeah, but there still needs to be a level of structure, I guess I would say.
Okay.
That way, because like, okay, so this would be the thing. It's like for you when you're meandering around the bend, you know what I mean?
Right.
You float and you Huckleberry Finn or whatever. But when you go to compete, you can't do that.
Right.
That's not the way competition goes. You can't just be out there like halfway on everything.
Right.
You gotta be really decisive on what you're gonna do and where you're gonna go. And so just having some like solid checkpoints on certain things. When I see this, I do this. When I see that, I do that. What's the easiest answer from here instead of going into the next thing that could lead to another like problem that I have to answer instead of like creating the next problem that they have to answer fully, you know? And not just that stuff doesn't create a problem, but it creates a problem for both of you when it doesn't work. You know, like you could
Right.
get them or they can get you. Whereas in certain positions, it's like, all right, both of their choices are bad now. Either one they do is wrong. But if they get this one, you win. But if they get this one, they win. I don't want to play. I don't want to, as your coach, it's my job to tell you not to do the 50-50 thing, except for when you need it, and use the thing that's maybe that 80-20 thing. You know what I mean? More
Right.
often than not. So like, you know, you wanna spend your time mostly on the things that are going to give you the most benefit, you know, like so the 80-20 rule and everything. So I was talking to somebody just on YouTube. We're in a like a chat thing, and this person, we are looking at analytics about their channel and stuff, and they were really like zoning in on their external like views, where they were coming from or whatever and what place. And so then they're like, yeah, but that's the external views. Where are you getting most of your views from, period? Well, those external views were literally like 2% of their overall views. And this person was spending so much of their time trying to enhance that number. But that
Forest for the trees. Yeah.
yeah, it's like no, that's not even the one to worry. That's you don't even need to worry about that one so much. The one like look at all these numbers. You want to keep this organic, the YouTube traffic or whatever, like coming from there. It's nice to get the external stuff, but that's not the 80-20 on this. The 80-20 is, you know, figuring out how to make it better for this and not better for people to click into it from another link or something like that. Just make it happen where it's at in its own ecosystem. Uh, so so there's stuff like that. It's like, but this is it's a thing, and it's like, man, it is a thing. It's definitely a thing, and it's a good thing sometimes to have, but it's not the thing that you need to do the most of your time. You do need to do it though, so you again, so you understand it and you see that a figure four with your legs can be a triangle as long as you have their head and their neck in between it, just one arm in their head from a bunch of different positions. It's all the same, except for you have to be in a different position.
What's your feeling on the no arm triangle? Just
Dude, okay, segue.
weird.
The only person I've seen hit it in a real way that I respected was Keith Krikorian. He hit
Okay.
somebody, and it was a black belt in competition. And he's the only person I've seen hit it
So
live.
how did he finish it? Was it the angle? Was it like
Angle,
it was
just a
okay?
regular classic triangle, but
A
with no.
perfect angle.
Yeah,
Okay.
the figure four was just like, and the legs were right up under his chin and everything.
Couldn't
Uh,
quite get out
yeah,
type. Yeah. Okay.
I think he didn't respect it.
Yeah. No.
So,
Yeah.
and maybe that was so another one of those things. Like I wouldn't spend as much time trying to get that one as I would the one where there's an arm in, but I would maybe spend a little time understanding that you
It's
can't
real.
do this.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
it's just like choking them with your arm if you can do it right. You know,
Mm. Mm.
but that's super hard to do that.
Speaking of Keith.
That's what I was saying. Segue.
Yeah.
Combat Jiu Jitsu Worlds was this weekend
Woo.
for featherweights, and man, it was really nice to see Keith go through there and be able to get the win. Man, he's been working hard for as long as I've known him. So not even just like recently, he's been working hard. He's always worked hard. He's always been a hard worker. He's always had a good attitude. Been really nice, you know, and kind and friendly to me. You know, and most of the people I've ever seen, I've never seen him be overly anything but nice to people. Uh, So it was really cool to see him, like how high level he's gotten at this point too. Just I wouldn't say he made it look easy because there are some, he had to work to get through there, but man, it wasn't as hard as I thought it might have been for him after looking at like how Jordan Hawley got through to the finals by submitting out everybody pretty quickly. So I was, dude, just super excited for him to know again that the hard work does pay off for people when they do it right. Sometimes, so that's the thing that gives the story the motivation, to keep telling people that they if they stay on it, that they can do it. You can make it if you really really stay diligent, because he had to take some time where he was in school and he was still training or whatever, but he wasn't able to be as full time as he wanted. But he still stayed in and kept training and kept seeking out the best training every time he could and competing. And if you want to be the best, then you got to do everything you can to try to be the best. And yeah, man, he does that stuff. So it's exciting to see him win and to know that he came from where I knew him from. I may have known him, I guess, or met him before, but I didn't remember him until he was a blue belt. And he was like a high school senior, I think, at that point. And so he was coming in and training after wrestling practice, or he'd come in after wrestling competitions or whatever and do jujitsu around it. And it's like, man, this kid's kind of wild, just doing all this grappling stuff. He's kind of nerdy little kid or whatever, but he always wanted to train, and he would roll with me, and I was always like, all right, cool, man, yeah, well, I'll roll with you, dude. I got no problem with that or whatever, because it was fun. He had a good attitude, and
Right.
I do. I can roll with little people if they want to go and make it fun and not have to like kill them. But then at
Yeah.
a certain point, it started just like really balancing out a lot. And then there were times where it was like, oh shit, Keith just caught me.
Yeah.
Legitimately caught me too. Not like we were playing and then
Like
caught me.
I got stuck.
Like, I was trying to not let him have stuff and he took it anyway, kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And it was like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, this is cool, man. It's like, it's not exciting and it doesn't feel good in my heart necessarily for me personally, but it's cool to see that happen, because I don't know if I've ever seen a person or other people necessarily that got me kind of while I was still trying, myself, like everybody, I was always able to kind of stay. We were always like, either they were ahead of me or whatever already, but we stayed close or whatever. And then, or, I would pass some people, but he was the first person that I was just like, wow, you went away for the summer and came back like dangerous.
Just a stud. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, man, super proud for him. Hopefully this will translate over towards ADCC trials for the West Coast for him, because I know that's probably his ultimate goal, is to get over that hump. Even though he did get to go to trial, he was in the last ADCC. He got to fill an alternate role in the bracket because somebody fell out, and so he is an ADCC veteran.
Wow. Yeah.
But that's not good enough either, right? Nobody
Yeah.
wants
He wants to win. Yeah.
right. He's that guy. He's that dude. He wants to be the best, not like kind of the best.
Oh, I
And
just did it. Yeah. He wants to
yeah,
do it.
no,
Yeah.
he wants to be the one that does it.
He wants
Like
the guy.
he wants to be the guy, and I think it's there. He's still pretty young. The sky's the limit for him.
How old
Obviously,
is he?
probably 25 or
Like
so at this
24,
point.
25. I thought he was like 24, 25.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I'm not sure exactly. However old Alyssa is, they graduated. They went to high school together.
Oh, okay. That's right. That's right.
So whatever that is, we'll have to ask her. Or I could ask him. Whatever. Probably knows. Somebody can Google it. He's probably got like a BJJ Heroes page now. So sorry.
I was trying to Google, but I was also trying not to put too much strain on my internet because I don't know who's lagging, you or me.
Lagging. So yeah, super happy for Keith at Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. Didn't really throw a lot of strikes. Threw some body strikes, I think. I don't even know if he really hit anybody to the face at all, which is okay. I think it's cool when guys go through and don't have to use strikes and can get the wins without having to use like a bunch of like crazy ham strikes, but be judicious with it. And yeah, I think it was a great showing for him and for the school out there, and for the team and everybody.
Have strikes made that much difference in CJJ, or have guys been winning? I've seen guys that have won. I mean, who was it? Was it Ben Eddy that didn't have to hit him at all to get in?
He throws some strikes usually from his guard, but
From the guard, yeah.
Yeah, Ryan didn't throw any strikes. I don't
That's
think
right.
his Thor, but his was like an EBI CJJ, but still he didn't throw any strikes in his. I don't think when he won it. So there's been some guys that have gotten through with throwing minimal strikes only to get like that's the thing. The strike isn't necessarily to knock the person out; it's to draw a reaction. It's to get them to put their elbows up so I can slide it, so I can take away the frames, man. It's all about the frames, baby.
Oh man, full circle. It's almost like we wrote this.
It's all about checkers, baby. You got to keep that back row, dog. I don't care about no horses and none of that stuff.
No rooks or bishops. You don't need no bishop.
Yeah. No, man, they doing bad stuff. If you look into them, that's not who you want. Just cutting across diagonally like that, no.
That's some shady stuff, man.
That ain't right, man. That ain't right. If you can only go diagonally, there's something wrong with that. It's
shifty.
I don't like it. I don't trust
it. Don't trust chess pieces is the moral of the story.
Anyways, man, Mid-South Classic is going to be pretty dope, man. We've got more names for it. Like, it was easier to fill this 16-person one than it was to do the 8-people one so far that we've done. I've got more names than we need at this point, and people still keep adding their name to like the reserves list if the people who are in need to fall out for any kind of reasons and stuff like that. So I'm pretty hyped up about it. Purple belts and under, open weight. It's gonna be here at the school again. It's gonna be dope, man. I think that $2,000 obviously sounded a lot better than the $1,000 to everybody. And then these lower belt people be like, oh, this is my chance to get some shine, So
oh yeah, there's some confidence coming in there. I've heard a few of them.
Yeah, you see some of those messages I was talking about. People are like, holding my money from me and stuff. It's like, dang, man. All right, make a note of that.
Come run it.
If you don't get it back, I can laugh. I'm just kidding. That's why I don't talk trash like that, man. Yeah, we'll see what happens. These guys.
You know what? I don't want to have to eat the sauce the next day.
Yeah, it could hurt. It could hurt. So that's gonna be really dope, man. That's gonna be January 29th.
Yes.
February 12th, we got Gio coming in.
Oh yeah.
Seminar here. It's gonna be good to have him in town, get his vibes and energy in the school, and let everybody like that hasn't experienced that be there and feel that, because it's different than mine. It's different than Richie's and Gabe's and everybody that's been through it. Everybody's vibe is different. Even Andy, when he came through and did his wrestling seminar and stuff like that, just super good information or whatever, but just it's his vibe, and that's always really interesting for everybody to get to feel different people's like vibes and energy and the way that they teach and the main things that they like to think and what they do think about stuff in general. You know what I mean? I think it's really, really cool and useful to be able to have those opportunities. And then not to forget, obviously, PGF, January 9th through the 15th is going to be a busy, busy, busy week of jiu-jitsu stuffs live on YouTube.
It's like the Jiu-Jitsu Olympics.
There's going to be 4 teams of – is it 4 teams of 4? 5?
I believe.
4 or 5s.
It's 4 of 4, right?
I think it's 4 or 5s because there's 20 of y'all.
Oh, they added – I'm sorry. I forgot that they added the extra 4. So, yeah, it would be 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think there's 4 or 5s now, if that's right. With a draft, people are going to get paid off their draft status. We're going to make them do a combine, so we're going to talk trash about their athleticism.
So who's picking the draft? Have they said that?
Huh?
Have they said so? The coaches are picking during the draft day. Is that how that's working? Okay.
After the combine, that'll be the draft. So yeah, I'm going to analyze the crap out of this thing, man. Looking up everybody, checking my list 10 times. I'm like, I'm better than Santa Claus at this time of the year right now, son. I'm checking all the lists. I'm reading Egghead stuff. I'm making sure I'm on top of these things. I'm watching guys competing in other places. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about them and help this thing be super good, man, because I think everybody's really fired up to be a part of it. it's gonna be fun to do it. It's gonna be different than it was the week that we were there, obviously, because everything had to be kind of hush hush and low key. And this time we're just gonna be out here basically just showing it to everybody, talking about, hey, look, here it is, you know. So I think that'll be that'll be pretty fun to be
The
able to,
live element's definitely going to be interesting.
huh?
The live element's definitely going to be interesting.
Well, because see, this is the thing. I wonder now, like day to day, if I could have like purged each night to the world or whatever. You know what I mean? If that could have happened, then maybe things would have been different somehow. It would have been different,
Okay.
but I wonder
Okay.
how. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
instead, I had to just hold everything in and stay super like introspective uh, about what was going on around me instead of just like immediate feedback from what's happening. And it's like, oh no, man, y'all got this wrong right now. Watch, I'm about to come in here and hug and leg drop all these fools today, son. Rock bottoms for the whole lot. I don't care. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
that's going to be better in a lot of ways. I think to have that added element to where you can get some feelers in the middle of the week that we didn't get when we were up there because I think rivalries will develop like they did kind of up in our space or whatever, but it won't be as easy to gloss over that in final productions and stuff like that. So we'll really get to see how everybody's really feeling a lot more too every day
Oh
instead.
yeah, and everybody's like staying on top of each other in different rooms and like at the gym and stuff. It's gonna be an interesting like dynamic of everybody like having to share the space and then
Yeah,
do
have
it
you figured out what
live.
you're gonna decide to do as far as staying where?
I got two options: one super secret one, and then the other one I may be hanging out with Egghead and the boys. I don't know.
Oh, super secret one is not Egghead and the boys.
Yeah, there's a super secret one somewhere,
Oh,
but I don't know if it's gonna work. We'll see. The people will see.
well, that's why it's a secret, you
It'll
know.
be on brand. That's the only hint.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, I think it's a great thing, man. I'm super hyped up to see what's going to happen. It seems like everybody's really gearing up for it. 170s. It should be a fast pace. It should be a quick pace. I feel like, and then are these little leg lockers? Are they gonna blow it? Just trying to tap everybody with heel hooks? Are people gonna let their legs get blown out early in the
Ooh.
in the week, trying to not get tapped and then
I
not make it?
think we're losing you, Steven.
Oh no!
Yeah. Start over. I think it's you.
Is it
Can
me?
you talk? Oh,
Am
we're
I?
having all kinds of stuff going on. It's going to be an exciting season on the PGF season 3. Oh, oh no. That's the perfect pause for him.
I can't even. I
There's,
don't even know what's happening. Hello? Is it
uh,
me?
no, still here.
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Listen, PGF
Oh,
season 3.
we might have lost you.
Don't get your legs broke.
So, well,
All right. Much
thanks
love.
for joining us
This
on the Dream Show.
is why we don't do remote.
Tune in next week.
I think it was Isaac. I think we lost Isaac, didn't we? It's still counting up like it's live. Now it's just me. I don't like that. Not at all. Are y'all still here? Are we back? Did we work? We figured out it was this person's fault.
Oops. Now we're in Inception.
Skirt. Is anybody still listening?
There's 6 people still in here.
Listen, we don't even know what we're talking about anymore, but we realized that y'all were still here. And so I just wanted to come and say, that's pretty cool. Thanks for hanging out, even after all that technical disasters. And I was acting foolish, thinking I was not on the internet. So,
So rewind back for whatever that was.
So thank you for tuning in. We would like to say thanks to Musgrove Trial Firm 6782. Oh, look at that runner.
Boom.
I didn't tell them. I'm tired of your shit.
I'm just
678-226-1994. Musgrove Trial Firm. I'm telling you, you can't call nobody else better. Produced by Blind Lincoln Productions and Turnkey Connections Group. They produce all the stuff we do. If you think it's cool, then call them. They'll produce some shit for you too. It'll be just as good as this stuff. I mean, it'll be better than what was like 5 minutes ago.
5 minutes ago,
But
yeah.
At least as good as this.
That was the internet. I can't take responsibility. I'm not Al Gore. I can't take responsibility for the internet.
We're gonna blame Montgomery.
It's a good blame.
Service, whoever they are, for
Good
that.
blame.
So yeah, tune into everything else. New Dream shows coming out still on Friday.
Yes.
I think. Okay.
Yes.
The Dream No Gi Camp. We had to shuffle some of the coaches for the camp, so we are not going to have Sloan. I guess I should announce that too. Sloan is not going to be a part of the camp this October. Just some different things happening or whatever. But we have another person that's going to take his place. That's really great, and I will announce that early into a space that people will hear at another time. But no fall off in the coaching. It's going to be just as good or better, maybe. We'll see. It's going to be dope either way, though. So really looking forward to all that stuff. PGF, Mid-South Classic, Geo coming, Santa Claus is coming. Like, that's it. That's all I need to say. Otherwise, I just came back to be funny, and I think I'm not funny anymore. So,
Whoa.
much love.